All right, looks like we are live. Hello, everybody. Daniel Chamberlain, Coaching 101 podcast. We are here at the Border State Summit in Northeast Oklahoma. Quapaw, we are here. It's been a pretty cool day. We just finished up lunch. It's nice to see all the. At this point, I've been to enough of these events. I'm starting to network with the other vendors and a lot of coaches I've seen around. Obviously, running into BJ earlier, BJ McBride, athletic director at Bristow. Zach Welchman came on. He's with Procom headsets now, and he's a former coach doing big things. Just finding ways to continue sharing his successes in the industry. So it's a great time to kind of hang out here. Joined by Michael Beaumont, and Coach, I have heard nothing but good things. I told you, your reputation kind of precedes you. The Houston Nutt has been on the show before, so hearing you have a connection with him was pretty awesome. I think, and you sat here and spoke for several minutes on just the quality of his character and who he is, and I had to agree with every bit of it. When he came on the show, man, it made our show better for sure. So, and then we're coaching with the likes of Pat Summitt, which has got to be an awesome ordeal to go from football to a bouncing ball. Definitely different, but coaching's right.
It was a change from a world of testosterone to a world of estrogen, but, and very different. The coaching styles quite the same between Coach Nutt and Coach Summitt and Coach Warlick. I think that you had the experience with Houston and what he brings to the table, that energy and that excitement, that enthusiasm, that passion. That is him every single day, and at practice, after practice, in the mornings, playing pickup ball at night. That's him. That's him all the time, and it's just so fun to be around him. Obviously, he learned from the likes of Coach Broyles, being a longtime coach and athletic director at the University of Arkansas, and then his influence trickles down to everybody else. So when you get a chance to work for Coach Nutt, you don't have a choice to become better. It's just part of his infection that he has on everybody, and I was very blessed to have that opportunity to work with him.
Yeah, well, like I said, when he came on the show, you could just see success just exuded from him.
Yeah.
So we were obviously very fortunate to get him on a talk, but Coach, you're out there with him now, right? You've got the experience, you've done the time, and now it's your time to shine. So
Jordan, very, very lucky and blessed to have worked with and for a lot of great people. Started out coaching, high school ball, and had the opportunities there. Loved that career, and then somehow or another, after 10 years of working football camp for Coach Nutt, he took a chance on me, and then I ended up being the head of football operations, assistant athletic director with him. Spent some time with him at the University of Arkansas, and then followed him to the University of Mississippi, and then at Ole Miss. We ended our career together. It's the funny thing about SEC athletics. It's not if you're going to get fired, it's just when. And so we ended our career there at the University of Mississippi, and then had the opportunity to go to the University of Tennessee. Coach Summitt is there at the time. Coach Warlick is taking the whistle from Coach Summitt and going to lead that program, and so I became the head of operations for the women's basketball program with the Lady Vols there, who is, it's a pretty historic program there.
Yeah.
It's nice every day to go to work, and outside my office there are 8 crystal balls, and makes for easy recruiting. And then again, ended my career with Holly and the Lady Vols, and then now in Fort Smith, and I'm the head of athletics and activities there for the district. But all of that, nothing of which I have done. Just had a lot of people that took a chance on me and rode a lot of shirt tails.
Hey, coattails are there for riding, I suppose.
That's right.
Like, might as well get in where you can. We obviously Ace Sports is the one we're here with, and if you guys can see the giant banner behind us, Ace Sports is, I think, the premier way to do fundraising in high school athletics today, collegiate athletics, wherever you're at, and you need fundraising. I understand that you have utilized the fundraising that we're talking about. So kind of walk me through that experience. What is that from your side? Obviously ease of the operations and getting stuff installed.
One thing that I wanted to bring to education-based athletics at the high school level was I wanted that experience to be something special for our kids. College is big business. High school athletics, kid business, and that's what we're in. We're in the kid business. We want to make that experience something that will last forever. The impact that coaches have, that you have on kids, is something that is supposed to last forever. It's why we're in the business. In fact, I know that if it's done correctly, the impact you have on somebody will be forever. And that's just part of it. In fact, there's probably somebody in your life that made a difference in you, and they were probably a teacher or coach. And today, if they were to walk through that door right now, you would still, to this day, call them coach.
It's really hard. Yes. Kenny Ridley is that guy for me, and I was blessed enough to have him come on the podcast and be a guest a while back. But yes, the guy that I still look up to, and you're right. It's very. I still call him coach, and he's told me many times, like, just call me Kenny. But it's just weird. I can't.
You can't help it. So that's the personal side of what we do, and it's the greatest thing about what we do. It also, in the same breath, the hardest thing about what we do is that you have to make that difference every day. There's just not a day off. You can't. The kids, they can't have that, and they don't deserve that. And you want that impact. But on the extra things, the other tangibles that you're trying to figure out, how can I make a difference? Because in the state of Arkansas, and I'm not sure if it's that way in Oklahoma or Missouri or Kansas, that school choice is a big deal in Arkansas now. Kids don't have to live in that district. They can choose where they want to go to school. So what do you have besides being a kid magnet that can help bring kids there and to make that experience something that's going to last forever? So I wanted to bring the things that I saw in college to the high school level. And I had met a couple of guys from Ace Sports because they, at the time, were in the video board arena and wanted to have that wow factor when you came into the basketball arena. That's going to be something that would just knock your socks off when you came in. And so I saw what they had done, just like the video board you see out there as on their display. I kind of modeled something that was a cross between Texas A&M, to where you have the LEDs underneath the video board on the inside, and then the rounded shape of it from where in the FedEx Forum in Memphis for the Grizzlies, and we kind of put all that together, and we had this giant video board that we did in both arenas. Because in our town, we have a high school that's 3 miles apart from the other high school. And so what one is going to get, the other one's going to get. And rightfully so. And the arena itself is the same number of seats, the same look, the same everything. And so we wanted to have that big impact to where, arena is an arena.
Yeah.
It's going to have chairs, it's going to have concession stands, it's going to have restrooms, it's going to have benches. You're going to have a great floor. But what is it that's going to set it apart from everything else? And so Ace presented that to us. They kind of took all of my dreams, of which I had many, and they put it all together, and they somehow or another came up with this video board and said, "Coach, we think this is it." And I remember looking at it thinking, "Oh, this is it. This is it." And my superintendent was like, this is what we want to do. He's, of my age, he's used to growing up with the screw-in light bulbs, and that's what a scoreboard was, and that's just how it happens. It's only colleges that can do these kind of things. And I think the great thing about one of the many great things about Ace is that they make this dream come to a reality. And that reality, there's a financial piece to that too. You got to figure out, all right, that's great, but college is big business. We're kid business. We just have tax dollars. How can we get that? There's no way, Coach Beaumont, we can get that. And I remember talking to the soup, and he was like, "You sure we can do this?" And I was like, "Yeah." They presented how they would make this happen, the fundraising piece. The cost is not exactly what you think it would be. I mean, it can be affordable. And then they help with the fundraising. And so that's a big thing, to take that off, because as athletic directors and coaches, you already have a list of duties and assignments that you have to get done every day. Now we're going to throw the fundraising piece on there, and you're thinking, whoa, I don't know if I have time to do all this. Ace was really good about walking through that. In fact, for us, they did a lot of the legwork themselves. And so we found a way not to get one paid for, but we got two. And they're hanging in our arenas right now. And I guarantee you, if you were to show up in Fort Smith, Arkansas on either north side or south side, you would walk into those arenas, and the first thing you would say is, wow, look at those. I wanted to be I think I told Mark Bridges, who was one of our sales guys, I told him, I said, I want every customer to have to buy SPF 50 when they come into our arena, because I want it to be that big of a deal and impact. And I think we've done that.
Talking with Mark, and he always talks about y'all's stuff.
Yeah.
There's a few arenas and fields across the nation that he's, or Ryan, Ryan's sitting here in front of us. I don't want to downplay Ryan's part, or RJ, the guys that have installed stuff. And there's a few they still talk about. Yours is definitely one of them. The twin towers over there, if you will, or twin arenas. And so it's really neat that guys like you have made the turn. You talk about someone of my age that's kind of stuck in this way.
Yeah.
There are those guys out there,
Yep.
right? And then there's the coaches who have gone, who cares what worked in the past? What works today?
Yep.
And you go out and make things like that happen. And it's just beneficial for Fort Smith athletics, right? Which we all know we're seeing now that Fort Smith athletics is going to just better the academics. And that's every town across the nation.
I think that people have to realize, and most do, especially us in the coaching world, we understand that athletics and activities are the front porch to every school. And it just is. And it really doesn't, it matters some, but it doesn't matter so much if there's not a lot of championship rings and banners. What kids are involved in is going to be athletics and activities. And we want that. We know that kids that are involved in athletics and activities have better grades than those that are not. We know that kids that are involved in athletics and activities have a greater success rate and graduation rate than kids who are just in the general population. They belong to something. And then not to mention that the life lessons that we're supposed to be teaching kids through athletics, those are things that every employer wants, on how to have teamwork, how to face adversity, how to win with grace and lose with the same grace. There's so many things that athletic teaches us, and every program has that opportunity. I am not downplaying in any shape or form that the science laboratory at Southside High School, Northside High School is not the best science lab in the country. But what people know is that arena, that football field, that volleyball court. Those are the things that they know and they see and that they get attached to. And when somebody wants to wear that school logo on their chest, that's part of it. It's the athletic piece. Now, I'm a big advocate because I am in athletics and activities, but I know that there is substantiated things out there, Jordan, that tell us that it makes a difference in kids' lives of being a part of something. It just does.
Yeah, we're talking about the open enrollment, and so Oklahoma's had that for a couple of years where you're right, kids can go anywhere. Now with athletics, it's a little different. We still have some rules that require kids to stay at a school or be at a school unless they get, now we have this transfer portal, you get one free transfer. The schools that are going out of their way to prop up their student athletes are getting the student athletes. And I know that might seem like rocket science, but it turns out if you celebrate every kid and you give them the best possible chance at going on to the next level or living out whatever their dream is, it might just be the greatest starting right guard in the history of this high school. But you give them a chance to live out that dream, they're going to come play for you. And so we're seeing right now the haves and have-nots is no longer poor districts, rich districts. It's who's going out and doing, I don't even say it's not even really grinding. Ace does the work for you. Who goes out and takes a chance and thinks outside the box and thinks around the corner of fundraising and celebrating their kids.
As we all grow in the profession, whether it's coaching or in the administrative role or working for a company like Ace, there is nothing wrong when somebody says, well, that's not the way we've always done it. It's okay. It's okay. We're going to do something different. Trust me, we're going to do something different. And I remember, Ace got in front of our admin team there and said, "Hey, this is not what you're used to, but we've had success, and that's okay. It's getting out of the norm and not doing what you've always done. We were talking a little football earlier and talking about different fronts and alignments." Growing and adjusting and making those changes to keep up with how things are going to be invaluable to being successful. It goes back to the recruiting world. When I'm a whole lot older than you. When we were growing up, you went to the Sears, and in the Sears store, you could always get 4 sweatshirts. You could get a Texas sweatshirt, a Michigan sweatshirt, a Notre Dame sweatshirt, and then you had one other one that might be out there local to the area. And you didn't have to really recruit to those schools. If you were a Midwestern kid, you knew you were going to go here. If you were a Southern kid, you were going to Texas. Those were the schools. And then come to find out, now they're a little behind.
Yeah.
And, you know, Notre Dame had to catch up a little bit. No, Texas is coming back into the fold. And so we're seeing that if you don't keep up with how fast things are changing, you fall behind. And I'm excited about the things that ACE has done for us. In fact, since we have installed the boards in our arena, they're coming up with different add-ons and different things you can change and make things even better and to dress up. I was like, oh, this is good. I like this. And so it just got to keep up with the times. You do.
You know, you talk about them making adjustments, and I think that's what I love about the systems that they run is because it's not cookie cutter.
No.
If they come to you, they ask, what are your dreams and aspirations? Now let's make that real.
Yep.
Yes, here's 5 or 6 other ones we've done. This one's maybe too much, right? There's a sticker shock value there sometimes.
Sure.
So maybe this one's too high of a sticker shock value. Maybe this is your range. But here's some of the stuff we can do to spend the same amount of money and just get a different look than everyone else. The scorers tables, the ticker tapes, the ribbons, the scoreboards, all that stuff in arenas. You know, football guy, the stuff outside that they can do for you is just it's amazing. And some teams just need to get in that initial board for now.
Yeah.
But man, in 10 years, well, that thing's usually paid off by year one. Talking to Mark recently, at 88 to 92%. The numbers in there fluctuate a little bit, but we'll just call it 90% of schools never make a payment.
Yeah.
Because the fundraising work that ACE comes in and does for you pays for the board before you ever see it.
Well,
and so in 7 years, when those first contracts, they elapse, and now you get the second round coming in, you can make adjustments. You can add to, and what you bought doesn't outdate. You just move on and add on.
So what we're seeing is when you first started coaching, or when you were playing, or when I first started, those outdoor venues had boards and scoreboards that had static signage on the side, and that's not the case anymore, and nor do you want that anymore. You want that video board to be the full size of your board, to where I can adjust those side panels to have different sponsors. Whereas before, the sponsor might have paid a price, and that stayed up all day long, all night long. Now, the venues are so nice, and the video boards are so nice to where I can have those 3 on each side, and then in 5 minutes later, it rotates to a new 3, and then 10 minutes later, it rotates to a new 3. Oh, by the way, just because the game is not going, I can leave the board on the outside panels while the screen is black, because it's just practice. I don't have to have anything on the video board, but my sponsors are getting flipped all the time. So they're getting time all the time, whether it's somebody walking on the track, or it's somebody that's just driving by, or it's a game going on. So those things are great to see. Different thinking than what we were used to. Hey, I'm an old guy. I'm used to the old static signs that you put a metal sign on the side of the scoreboard, and that helped pay for some of it. Not all of it, helped pay for some of it. Whereas now you have the opportunity that I can have, instead of the 6 sponsors, 3 on each side, now I've got 6 times a rollover, times a rollover, times a rollover.
Yeah.
Makes money.
We're kind of in a talking about the utility and functioning of these boards as well. I think it was Nebraska just had a volleyball game in the middle of their football stadium.
Yeah,
Nebraska
how about that? Yeah,
set the record for all-time volleyball. If you have a static board, that's a football scoreboard that you're trying to do something. But now with these video boards, right, you can put up whatever. I don't know volleyball good enough to even talk about the stats, but you can put up your stats, right? And it makes sense. You're not making it fit some mold and it looks weird, right? Timeouts and errors and all that you can do whatever you need to do. If you want to put a softball game, a lot of people have laughed that Patty Gasso should put a softball game in the middle of the OU football stadium and break that record. You can do that with these boards. Whatever you need to do, you can have your. Every year it seems like schools have like that charity. You go admin versus alumni or whatever. Baseball, basketball, softball, whatever. You can set the scoreboard up to do that. So it just allows that multiple functionality of your space.
Well, and for us, I have hands-on experience with it in the fact that we use it for graduation, we use it for band when they have a big concert that they want to do. So every kid wants to see themselves up on the video board.
Absolutely.
They just do. They just do. When and it just has that kind of impact. No different than Jerry Jones put a video board in the Cowboy Stadium that goes from the 5-yard line to the 5-yard line, because he knows that we're at the Cotton Bowl. we have to tell the kids, hey, you got to come to practice. So we wanted to have the board on during practice, during the walkthroughs, so they could get used to looking up. Because if you watch film from the Cotton Bowl, especially in the beginning, kids will make a play and then they'll all look up. They want to see it. And I don't care what age. It doesn't matter. They want to see themselves on it. And I think that's just the great thing about what kind of impact something like that can have. And Ace does a great job with it. And you know, I don't work for Ace. I know they sponsor your show. But there's just something different about what they do. It just is. And I know a lot of people in the business that do other things that are similar to this, but there's just something that's different, you know. And I won't go into all the technical side because I'm not 100% sure that I would be speaking correct information. But you know, but the brightness and I think that, you know, the biggest thing of what you talked about was making those dreams into reality. And I'm not just talking about for me. It's for the community. It's for the school. It's for the kids that are out there on that field and courts. They just do a great job.
Well, I have to, we'll move on from Ace. We once again, reach out to them. Mark.bridges@acesports.com is a great place to start.
Yep.
Ryan.hughes, Hughes, at acesports.com. That's if you're Oklahoma, Northwest Arkansas, Kansas, Missouri, Montana, and New Mexico. I think I remembered all of his states.
Wow. Okay.
RJ is here too. RJ has got Kentucky, and I think he's doing a little bit in Texas. He's got some spots. So, guys, we're not going to just have one rep that's super overloaded and never gets back to you, right? That's another thing about Ace Sports is they're going to have somebody that can get to you in a timely manner, get in, and start trying to make what you're doing, what you want to make happen. So it's a good deal. Let's talk a little defense. You talked about being a guy that your career has been on the dark side of the ball, as you called it,
That's
and
right.
I 100% agree. Look, I started on defense, I went offense. I don't know that I ever want to go back because offenses have made things very tricky. You got the likes of, you know, Bixby Spartans are just down the road down here. They are a million formations a game. Cameron Palmer's a buddy of mine over at Bristow. They're doing the same thing. You're seeing it on Saturdays now. We're in that era of things trickling up, right, from high school sports getting into the pros. Miami Dolphins are kind of doing what Bixby's been doing for 10 years. Miami's Dolphins have been doing the last 4 or 5, right? So we're watching that trickle up. So let's kind of talk being defense during this era. What is obviously you're not coaching right now, but ball ain't changed. You got to have an answer.
Yep.
So how's that? You know, we talked about adaptability and everything. How's that kind of?
Well, I think you know, for all your fans and patrons that are listening to you right now or watching, they deep down inside they know that there is only one side of the ball, and the offensive guys. I mean, gee whiz. I mean, they already know what they're doing. They're running the plays all the time. It's the guys on defense that have to adjust to everything, and they want to put, you know, 27 people in motion, and we've got to have all these different fronts and lineups and formations. I'm like, gee whiz, you're running and passing. Come on. And an offensive guy, you know how they are. At the end of the day, they cannot stand dinking the ball down the field. They're going to have to go for at least 40. It's just an offensive coordinator's mindset. They want to score big and fast. But what is really great about the offensive side of the ball is that the game is evolving so fast, okay? And the idea of the wishbone and all of these old formations, now we went from that run mindset on the offensive side of the ball to the spread, you know, get everybody on the move and out and about. And I think 10 or 15 years ago, when this was such a popular thing, the idea was, it's an air raid. It is. Now we saw offensive coordinators getting smarter in the fact that they spread you out so I can run the ball.
That's right.
And they put you in a bad situation to where you don't have enough inside to keep up with what can happen. So the defensive guys are now having to evolve at a higher rate too, because you and I both know, you've heard head coaches every year, we're talking preseason practices, and you know, defensively we're kind of where we want to be, and offensively we're behind. I don't know if we're going to score the entire year, but it just takes time for them to kind of get into the rhythm of what they have to do. Defense though, you know, I never lose sight of my offensive line coaches and my defensive line coaches, because those fronts inside, that to me, that's where the game is.
Yeah.
So much happens right there.
Won and lost in the trenches, right?
That's right. I love skill guys. I mean, but if you're fast, you're fast. You can do that, but you got to be a man to want to play inside. It's also the reason why typically we see at the next level in college, an 18-year-old kid probably red shirts if he's an inside guy or an interior lineman, defense or offensively, because those are real men in there.
Yeah.
And they are beast in there. Where a skilled kid can, 18 years old, yeah, he can probably run the ball. He can fly down the field and we'll throw it to him, let him run under it. But I appreciate both sides of the ball, and I was kind of kidding along with you earlier, but there's just something about the dark side of the ball that just makes the game what it is. Boy, I tell you, it's exciting. It kind of gets kids, I remember pregame talks and talking with the defense and talking about, how exciting it is to hear the air leave somebody's body and to see a little snot bubble pop up through his helmet right there, and you're thinking, oh yeah, I got him right there, boy. And that's just part of it. The game itself, though, I have so much love for the game of football, and in my role now, I have you have 42 sports and activities that we're involved in, and I love all of them and appreciate what the difference in kids' lives that our coaches do. But the game of football, it's a brotherhood. It is something that it's hard to teach anywhere else. You won't find it in a lot of books. There's just something about it, and those kids, when it's done right, those kids are brothers for life. There's just a bond that is there from that game, and I was very lucky to be a part of it. Now, I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form did I have a lot of success. I didn't win rings coaching football. I didn't have all of these accolades behind my coaching career, but I do remember the most fun I ever had in high school football was 7th grade football. The joy and excitement that we had when somebody would score. It's so much fun, and they're so innocent at that age that I remember both teams congratulating the guy.
Right.
He had a big play, and he caught it, and he fell over, and he still had the football, and he holds it up, and both teams are like hugging him like, oh, that was awesome. And that's just part of what the game is, and I knew that coaching, Jordan, 7th grade football is where everybody needs to start, because in my first halftime, we're down 7, and I mean, you didn't take them to the locker room. We go over into the corner of the end zone, and we would sit there in the grass and get our water bottles, and you got to tell, okay, everybody quit playing with your water bottle, pay attention. We got to start doing this, and I mean, I'm giving it to them. Boy, I know that we're gonna come out this second half, and we're gonna just blow their doors off. And I'm just thinking, oh, we're about to get them right now. And as I'm into this halftime speech, and I'm really giving it to them, and I'm a young coach, and boy, I'm just thinking, oh, how can they not be excited right here? And one kid says, hey, there's a plane. And the next kid went, yeah, it's got propellers. And then before we know it, we're off on a whole nother. And I'm looking around. I look at my assistant, and he's kind of shrugged his shoulder. I was like, all right, boys, get your water. Let's go. We'll get him right here.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. And it's just fun. It's fun leading young men. I was very blessed. I was very blessed.
I think it's good to hear you say that, because there's a lot of coaches that almost they don't look down upon, but they see a junior high, a JV, a middle school, a youth coaching job as like a demotion from varsity. Like, that's not true in the least, right?
No.
Sure, all the fans may not show up for you, but those kids' parents will, right? And if you go out and lead a successful youth program, you're going to see the dividends tenfold, because not all those kids get to varsity ball.
Well,
you know what I mean?
If you're going to be not a good athletic director, if you're going to be not a good varsity high school coach, you had better be great in the fact that you are instilling a culture of where there is vertical alignment. So you had better involve those middle school coaches and those junior high coaches in everything that the varsity does. Because if you're asking them, or the expectation is that I want you there on Friday night to help us or to be a part of us, then by golly, on Mondays and Thursdays, you better find your way your staff goes to their games and be involved, and realizing then that those kids are going to be yours one day anyway. So why not invest at them where the game is taught, making sure that the fundamentals, that those 4 base plays, hey, 7th grade coach, junior high coach, I want you to have a playbook that big. But for right now, let's make sure we know these 4 base offensive plays and these 4 base defensive plays, and you run them like they can do it in their sleep, because when they get to you, you can add to that. And so I'm with you in the fact that if you're going to be a great leader, you had better invest in vertical alignment and invest in those coaches and kids. Those coaches had better be kid magnets at that age, because we lose a lot of it through attrition. Kids that play 7th grade ball may not play high school ball, and so you had better have somebody that has that energy, that has that investing in those kids, that has the same philosophy as you and the same expectations as you, but they better feel that you have the same for them.
Yeah,
that's just part of the game. No, it's not. You're right. There is nothing wrong with starting your career in 7th grade, 8th grade, and 9th grade football, or volleyball, or basketball. There's nothing wrong. You can make it. This is the time when you make a difference in a kid's life right then. That's, and I've got coaches in our schools there at Fort Smith that when I first got there, I had a couple that, you've been a lifelong middle school coach. Why don't you want to get to Fridays? And if you get to Fridays, why don't you want to get to Saturdays? I mean, you should have that drive in you. And I remember taking a step back from that idea, because there is a great coach. He's still there to this day. That coaches middle school ball at Darby Middle School. And he's been doing that for most all of his career. And he told me, Coach, I have a niche right here. I impact this age great. I love what I do, and I don't think I'm less. In fact, I know I'm greater, because I'm handing these kids off to the junior high coach, or to the 9th grade coach, to the varsity coach. And I watched him work, and I thought to myself, he doesn't need to be anywhere else.
That's right. Calling can be different, right?
This is where he makes a difference right here. And so, yeah, I don't want any of you guys out there to listen and thinking, I'm just a junior high coach, I'm just a 7th grade. You know what? You are the beginning. I understand you're not the end, but this is where the love of the game is taught. This is where the fundamentals are taught. This is where you make a difference in somebody. And you remember your 7th grade coach. You would run through. I mean, I heard a speaker today that was talking about, oh, my 7th grade coach today, if he told me to go out and chew the bark off that tree and come back, I'd go do it. I'd come right back. And that's just the impact they had. And it's just, you can make a difference in somebody's life.
I love hearing you speak on attrition, because, that although we probably don't want to admit it right now, football is a dwindling sport, right? It's this generation understands that running out and running through a brick wall is not healthy for you.
Yep.
And so, they're the guys that are out asking why a lot more. And sometimes that why in football doesn't make sense, right? The injuries chances is high. It's just a lot going on in this age group. And so with this era, was blessed enough to work under Bill Blankenship over to Wausau and Tulsa area for a year. And I can remember his one coaching point to the freshman team. I was a freshman coach there. And he said, you're going to get 57 kids in. I want 57 kids out. I want 57 kids to be sophomores next year. And the idea is just you don't have a hard job down here. Go out, coach your butt off, teach the fundamentals, keep them here, keep them involved. Ensure they're having fun in the game. Keep them coming back to where the horns on the side of the helmet,
Well, you made a point there talking about that very thing with attrition and how it's not natural for this generation. I'm not sure if it's natural for any generation to throw your body into somebody else's body at full speed. It's just not normal to come, crashing that. You have 125 mini collisions every game on the interior, and so it's not natural. But like I said, we talked about it earlier, the things that the game teaches us, the things that we are coaches that are supposed to be teaching those lessons are what should keep them in the game. And I caution everybody to figure out, all right, I have these 11, I've got these 22, everybody else is kind of, there's a role for them. There will be a role for them in life. They may not be the president of the company, but by golly, they'll be the best janitor at that company that they've ever seen because of the lessons you're supposed to have been teaching them through athletics. And so don't cut a kid because he's too small or can't lift enough right now. I'm sure there's some of us, maybe even in this circle right here, that in 7th grade we didn't look like we do now. We didn't look like that. And it was all of a sudden that 9th grade year where, is that little Johnny? And they look totally different. And by the time they're a senior, they look like a man. Now, there's also kids when they come back after, when they're 22 or 23, like, oh, now you look like a man.
You are.
Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go. Now
we
you look
knew
like
you
a
were in
man.
there somewhere.
Yeah, now you look like a man. But again, athletics, you got to learn. You got to know your role, and that's okay if you're not a starter. But try to keep them all around. I agree with you. In fact, that keeping them a part of something makes a difference. It just does.
All right, well, I don't want to hold you here forever. I know that we're all here to kind of learn. So
Sure.
I got basically one question that will require 2 responses.
Yeah.
I want to hear the best piece of advice or whatever that Houston Nutt gave you, as well as through the Pat Summitt and Tennessee time. I understand that there was a transition going on there. So
Yeah,
what's something you took from both worlds?
Coach Nutt he taught me so many things, and I'm thinking of all the different things that I have learned and just watching him work. But that ability to relate to kids and build instant relationships with people, and remembering that information. Coach Nutt were to come back and see you today, he'd be like, Jordan, how you doing? Good to see you. I love your show. And that is just him. He has that uncanny ability. So I've tried to emulate that in the fact of just being able to build relationships and making sure that I feel like that person matters and that I am well aware of what they do and that I am not the most important person in the room. And that's Coach Nutt. Now, Coach Summitt and Coach Warlick, my tenure with them was, Coach Summitt sadly got sick when I first got there, and Holly had taken over and taken the whistle. The greatest thing that Holly has ever taught me, and to this day when I still talk to her that she's this way, is that the humbleness of what coaching is, because it doesn't last forever. And so she was always quick to make sure that I knew that anybody that worked with her is that your impact is lasting. And it may not be out on the court. It may not be out on the court. It may be the person that you saw in Home Depot. It may be the person that you see in the hallway. It may be the person that is the valet today. And I always try to take the time and, learning somebody's name, there's a gift to that. And both of those two and Coach Summitt, they have it. And I watch both of them work. If we were to go out to the valet here at the casino today on the way out of town, and Houston or Holly would both say, now tell me your name again. Well, I'm Jack. Jack, so nice to thank you for bringing my car up there. Well, you're doing an outstanding job. I really appreciate what you do. And all of a sudden now Jack his chest is sticking out a little bit. He said, well, I've been doing it for a couple years. Really? What else you like to do? Going through the airport or going to any kind of thing with Coach Nutt
I bet that is wild.
or with Coach Summitt or
We're gonna
Coach
miss our
Warlick.
flight.
No, you can't. You got to say, Coach, now we got to go. All right, I'm going to sign one more. Let me sign one. I got to take care of these 3. Let me take care. That's how they do. They just
Coach
take
Nutt,
care
I
of
hope
people.
you're out there listening today. And honestly, I'm ready to get him back on the show. I feel like those are one of those voices you could hear over and over and over again and never get, the message never gets old, never gets stale because the person that's behind it, delivering it. So
If either one of those two were to call me today and say, hey, Mike, I got something. Will you come back and join me? I'd be like, hey, Jordan, I got to go. They need me, and I'd go work for them again today. It was just something special being a part of their life. I was very lucky.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, man, it's been wonderful having you on here to talk to me today. We greatly appreciate it. Once again, guys, if y'all are out there and you're looking for the next hack in fundraising,
Yeah.
it's Ace Sports. Ace Sports is the guy that's going to help you get where you want to go. And like you said earlier, Michael, it's just the taking the dreams, make it that reality through this fundraising. And I mean, that's really what's going to do it to you. Take them your plan like you did.
Yep.
I want Memphis Grizzlies paired with Texas A&M Aggies, and I want that in my high school. It'll make it happen. So figure out what it is you love and you need to see at your level, and let Mark let him figure it out. He will figure
He can
it
do
out.
it.
So.
He can do it.
Appreciate you very much. Thank you, guys. We'll be back here probably around 2 o'clock, top of the hour. If you're trying to watch them all live, if you're listening to the recording, we'll see you next week. Thank you, guys.